I recently saw The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Andy Serkis, and Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is my review of the movie, though keep in mind that I've only seen it once and am operating off memory. I might revisit this movie in the future, and my thoughts may change. Who knows? Pattinson portrays a stoic Batman. He speaks little, which I think adds a weight to every word and action. For example, when Batman walks down the long hall of cops towards the scene of the murder, we see how they react to his presence without him needing to say a word. He is this strange, intimidating entity, and no one is quite sure if he's friend or foe. And the silence adds to that. And when Batman does speak to point out something the police missed, it creates this sense of importance. It indicates that he has been observing and thinking the whole time. His silence is not an absence of thought. It also implies that the clue is significant enough for him to point out verbally. And that isn't to say Batman himself is a robot. He's stoic, though there is still emotion and intent beneath his silent gaze and carefully chosen words. I was surprised how much Pattinson could convey without words, be it annoyance, understanding, pondering, etc. For example, when Riddler starts ranting about Bruce Wayne, and Batman is under the impression that he may know his secret, so much emotion can be read in Pattinson's eyes. You can see the frustration at having to stand there taking the slander of a murderer, coupled with the trepidation of dealing with someone who knows his secret and therefore has power over him. More broadly, throughout the movie, you can feel Batman's constant rage simmering under the surface, threatening to spill free and burn those unlucky enough to get in his way. He claims that he is vengeance, and that seems true enough. He's primarily concerned with being the punishment dealt to those that have done wrong. At one point, Riddler remarks how the mask is the real you, referring to Batman's and his own. And the movie very much embodies that. Perhaps more than 90% of Pattinson on screen is him in the costume, and at least half of what remains involves him doing research in the Batcave. At one point, he attends a funeral as Bruce Wayne, but only because it can further his investigation. He is the most shut-in of shut-ins, having thrown away his life as Bruce Wayne entirely in favor of Batman. Because of this, the audience's view of Batman is quite different to previous iterations. He is not Bruce Wayne who dons the identity of Batman. It is Batman, who is sometimes forced to present himself as a man named Bruce Wayne. The mask is the real him. But who is Batman, and how does that develop throughout the movie? At the beginning, Batman explains the symbol he's become in his first year. He is terror in the hearts of criminals. They fear the bat signal, and can't help seeing him in every shadow. He then declares that he is vengeance, as he furiously, and excessively, pummels a thug. And what's interesting is the reaction of the civilian he was helping. Batman has become such a strong symbol of fear that even he cowers before him, pleading not to be hurt like the others. And this is shortly followed by Batman entering a crime scene, where the cops stare at him with fear and wariness. Aside from Gordon, they don't trust him, and many times they accuse him of being involved in the Riddler's kills. As the movie progresses, Batman's view of himself shifts. When he talks to Riddler, the man is under the impression that they've been working together. He believes they strive for the same justice, the same vengeance. He cannot see the difference between the two of them. There's a similar moment towards the end. Batman momentarily succumbs to rage, beating one of the Riddler's followers beyond what's necessary. It takes Gordon and the others to make him stop. And then, when asked who he is, the man declares that he is vengeance. And it's then that Batman understands. Batman sees in Riddler and his followers the dark thing that he could become if he lets his desire for vengeance consume him. A monster that hurts others, not truly for justice, but for the deep rage that boils within. It's then that Batman makes a strong shift. He climbs down into the water of a flooded building and lights a flare, then helps civilians climb out of wreckage. Batman becomes the exact opposite of what he was at the beginning. Rather than being the shadows that strike fear into criminals, he becomes the light that kindles hope into people. Not long after, we see Batman working in broad daylight to rescue those harmed by the flood. His image has changed so much that a woman he has helped clings to him. Again, another juxtaposition to where we started. The man feared him. The woman trusts him. Batman concludes that he must become a symbol of hope rather than one of vengeance, and this leads him to conclude that Batman really is making a difference, where before he couldn't see any progress. Fuck, I think I really like this arc. And it's important to mention Batman's no-kill rule here. I think it's partially responsible for keeping Batman from becoming like the Riddler. Despite their shared desire to take down the corrupt, Batman draws a strong moral line. Riddler has none, and will do any despicable thing to get what he wants. Bruce may have gained this no-kill rule from his father. He was a doctor, and though Falcone was a criminal, he still helped him when he needed treatment. We know that Bruce observed this event as a child, so it's possible that this is what instilled in him the value of preserving life, even that of a criminal. Batman's shift in symbolic meaning parallels a shift in Bruce's relationships. He pushes Alfred away, saying things like, "You aren't my father." He does something similar with Catwoman. When they work together to get information out of the Iceberg Lounge, he asks her to look at him. At first, you think he might be showing sympathy and tenderness towards Selina, only to realize he's just checking the high-tech contact lens in her eye. Bruce has put up an emotional wall, refusing to let anyone in. It's later, when Batman hears out Selina's heartfelt tale, that they do connect on a deeper level, allowing some romance to blossom. And it's after he nearly loses Alfred in an explosion that Bruce admits how much he cares for the man. Part of the reason for pushing these people away is his fear of losing them like his parents, and being hurt all over again. All of this coincides with the shift of Batman into a brighter, more compassionate symbol. Other aspects of the movie that I like include the score. The music feels like a constant, repeating a similar pattern throughout, shifting in intensity depending on the scene. The result is, there's always some level of tension. Building through scenes of detective work, climaxing during action, and calming down afterwards to start the process again. I loved this effect, though I can see how it might come across monotonous or annoying to some. I do have some problems with the movie. I'll go through a few that stick out in my mind. Through a news report, Bruce learns that his father had Falcone kill a man so that his mother's dark secrets wouldn't get out and ruin his mayoral campaign. Bruce speaks to Falcone, confirming this truth. Later, Bruce talks to Alfred, who claims that his father never wanted the man killed, and that what he did was for the protection of his mother and for Bruce. These events are basically back-to-back. We have about 2 scenes to wrestle with the idea that Thomas Wayne had a man murdered for personal gain, only for it to be immediately recontextualized more favorably. The audience isn't given the chance to live with this dark truth before it becomes something more acceptable. At one point, a bomb goes off right in front of Batman, and there seems to be absolutely no harm done to the exposed part of his face, even though that was basically the part of him closest to the blast. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Overall, the suit feels a little too durable.
The suit does not make him invincible. It's just a few panels of bulletproof armor.
Batman can tank point-blank shotgun blasts to the chest. It's insane how many gunshots he just shrugs off. I don't think bulletproof padding works that well. After that explosion goes off, Batman is knocked unconscious. Apparently, the police transported Batman all the way to the police department. He's fully dressed when he comes to, so I guess they didn't have anyone perform any medical exam on him. The dude was just in an explosion. He might be bleeding out underneath that suit for all they know. And they don't even peek under the mask, which is what anyone would do in that situation. And they don't lock him in a cell, they just sort of lay him on a table. All of this absurdity allows Batman to escape with his secret identity intact. And this event makes me question the way the police just sort of allow Batman to operate. They don't seem to like it, but they also don't seem bothered to do anything about it. They say, hey, you can't do that, and then let him do it anyway. And with how many of these guys probably work for Falcone, I question why there isn't more pushback. Now, because I've only seen it once, I can't really break down the plot too much. It's possible that it's riddled with holes. It's also possible that it's really strong. I might revisit this one day to see for myself. To wrap things up, I strongly recommend seeing The Batman. I thoroughly enjoyed it and think there's a lot of quality writing within.